Hi, my name is Pat, and this is my channel, Book Chat with Pat, and I'm glad that you're here. Today I'm going to be talking about my reading plans for the month of March, and they are ambitious. So I have a bunch of reading events that are taking place and a couple of buddy reads and a few things that I'm just interested in doing on my own. So this is a rough sketch of the plans, and we'll see how I do. But I'm going to start by talking about a much anticipated buddy read that I'm going to be doing with my friend Gavin at Genre Books. We had said, I think back in December, that we were going to read the Anubis Gates together as a buddy read, and this is by Tim Powers. And we both decided that we wanted to read this after both Grammaticus books and Michael K. Vaughan both listed this as their best read of 2024. So Gavin and I had both been wanting to read this, and we decided that we're going to read it together, and March was our first opening. So I'm really looking forward to that. We have a new science fiction group that is starting up in March, and I'm going to list all of the people involved in that in the notes below. But this was, I think, originally started by a conversation that Mark Richardson from Richardson Reads and Sean D. Standfast and I think some others too were having about their desire to explore some more contemporary science fiction. They read a great deal of classic and vintage science fiction, and so they put together a list of more contemporary science fiction titles from the later part of the 20th and the early 21st century. So the first book that we're going to be reading together is Jack McDevitt's The Engines of God, and this is our choice for March. I am also in the Clifford D. Simak reading group, and that's the Pig and Whistle Simak 2025 reading group. And our selection for March is Empire. I think this will be the third novel that I will be reading with this group. A lot of the same people are involved in these three science fiction groups, and I'll put the names in the notes below. There's also the Heinlein 2025 reading group, and the choice for March is The Star Beast, which is one of Heinlein's juvenile novels. Before YA was a thing, he had a series of books called his juveniles, and this is one of those. Terrific cover there. I'm continuing to read with Angelia and Read and Reread, and that's her reading event on drama called Endless Drama, where we're reading 2 plays a month. The first play for March is Annie Baker's The Flick, winner of the Pulitzer Prize for Drama in 2014. And the second selection for March is Paula Vogel's play Indecent, which I have ordered, and I think it's actually supposed to come today, but it's not here yet. I've talked in a bunch of videos about the Ulysses Six, who have become the brothers and sisters Karamazov, and we've been reading throughout February and now into March, the brothers Karamazov. I had really struggled about a week ago with, I think, part 5, and I wasn't sure if I was going to continue, but I kind of powered through over last weekend, and I read parts 6 and 7, and now I'm well into part 8, so I'm more than halfway finished with the novel. So I think for now I'm going to keep going. The Brothers Karamazov by Dostoevsky not only counts for that reading group, but this is also a mammoth. This is over 900 pages long, or it's exactly 900 pages long, and so that will count as a novel for the March of the Mammoths, where you just need to read a book that's over 800 pages long, and it looks like that that suffices. And we are scheduled to finish the Brothers Karamazov in the month of March. I thought that I would also like to participate in the Irish Readathon. I've been reading Irish literature for the last year and a half as I was preparing for my trip to Ireland, and I want to continue with that. I had talked a lot since, I think, December about Ronan Hession's novel Leonard and Hungry Paul, which I did read last year. I read this as a buddy read with my friend Alan at Big Hard Books and Classics. My in-person book group selected this as their choice for March. So even though I just read this a couple of months ago, I'm giving it a quick reread for my in-person book group. We had this on our list of possibilities for a couple of months, and the group chose this for March, and that will also, account as a book for the Irish Readathon. I thought that I might also combine some mysteries, because it's March Mystery Madness, with a couple of Irish books that I've been wanting to read. One is Colin Walsh's thriller, suspense, murder mystery, Kala, which I've been wanting to read for I have been wanting to read this since before I went to Ireland, and I just didn't get to it in time, but I think it will be a good choice for both the Irish Readathon and for March Mystery Madness. And I also hope to read Tana French's The Hunter. I read The Searcher last year, and this is, I guess, the sequel to that, and this will certainly satisfy as a mystery. And Tana French is a contemporary Irish writer as well. For Historathon, we're still in the first quarter. I finished SPQR, and I've been hoping to read The Emperor of Rome, and I thought that, I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to get this into the first quarter, but it looks like I can at least get it started in March. And this also meets the requirements of Robert G., reader of books, and his reading event on reading about the emperors of Rome. I very much want to read something about Celtic history as well, and that would, I think, satisfy requirements for quarter one for Historathon, and it would also be good for the Irish Readathon. And I'm looking at a couple of things, but I haven't actually picked out what I'm going to read related to Celtic history. So if anybody has some recommendations of something that's not a mammoth, because I know I won't have time to read another mammoth, but if you have some suggestions about Celtic history, early Celtic history, I'd be really interested in hearing about those. The Pineiro Project continues. For the first week of March, we will still be reading Betty Boo, which I'm in the middle of right now. And this is our 6th novel. And then for the later part of March and into April, we will be reading our final novel, our final work of Claudia Pinero in translation. So the last book we have to read is A Little Luck. Some members of the group have already read this. I have not. So this will be a first read for me. And we will start this in March, as I said, and we'll conclude it in April, and that will wrap up the Pineiro Project, where we will have completed 7 novels by Claudia Pinero, 7 novels in translation. She has written other novels that have not yet been translated into English. Now, if something comes up, we'll certainly add that, but I think the project will conclude in April. Now, there are a couple of people who are doing Bronte events during the month of March. Melinda at A Web of Stories has introduced a reading event related to all things Bronte, and Emily at Novell Novels is also doing a Bronte reading event, and they have, slightly different prompts, but the gist of it is to read something by one of the Brontes. Melinda's group read is Anne Bronte's Agnes Grey. I've read quite a bit of the Brontes, but I've never read Agnes Grey, so I thought this would be a perfect time for me to read that with Melinda's group. I have started a buddy read this past week, which we will be continuing into March with my friend Alan at Big Hard Books and Classics. And this is book 1 of the Farseer trilogy, Robin Hobb's Assassin's Apprentice. I've been interested of late in reading some good fantasy literature, mostly to get me out of my own head and get me out of the news. And Alan and I have started reading this together, and we're really enjoying that. And I had also decided, on the suggestion of Mark at A Book Thing and Jack at Spread Book Joy, I had decided I was going to read some Terry Pratchett, and they both have recommended Guards. And I also did a kind of fun reading tag earlier this week where I was reading first paragraphs of books in order to decide what would go next on my pile of possibilities or TBR, and I chose Terry Pratchett's book. All the books that I read the first paragraphs from are all things that I'm planning to read in the near future, but I thought this would be a great excuse to read some Terry Pratchett. So those are my rough plans for March. I don't know how much of this I can actually complete, but I think because a couple of these are group reads and buddy reads, chances are good that I'll make some serious progress in a bunch of these. And again, if anybody has any Celtic history recommendations for me, I would love to hear about those in the notes below. And let me know what you're going to be reading for March. Are you participating in any of these events? Do any of these sound good to you? What do you plan to read during the month of March? So, as always, I thank you for watching. I hope that you're doing well. I'll speak with you again soon. Take care.